Good evening, all of you. We'll start the session. So this is interactive session. We can more importance is for observations and learning more than practicing. So I have received some queries. So I'll touch upon those queries in the beginning. Then I will go to regular practices that we do in the month. First, so we start with the prayer. We sit with the back straight. Sitting straight is important. The reason is when we keep the back straight, our awareness improves. So let us do the starting prayer. We close the eyes, then inhaling, take the arms over your head, take it sideways, join the palms at the top. Then when you're exhaling, bring the hands to the center of the heart. Close your eye, take an inhalation. Together, Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om. Inhaling, take the hands straight up through the center, take it upwards. The elbow will become straight, and then when you're exhaling, bring the hands down like that. Okay, so that's the starting prayer. Mantra. So why do we need to chant the mantra? What is the meaning of mantra? Mantra, a vehicle to the mind. The meaning of mantra is that a vehicle that takes us to the mind. So if you see, the first mantra itself is Om, right? What is Om? It's a mix of A, U and Ma. That itself is a pranayama. Why is it a pranayama? Let me explain. Prana ayama. Prana in the terminology is the life energy or the breath. Prana means life energy or the breathing. Ayama means prolonged in Sanskrit. So prolonged breathing is pranayama. When you do Om, what is happening? You take an inhalation. So what happened during the exhalation? Was it a normal exhalation? No. It was a prolonged exhalation. So what is Om? Yes, it's also a pranayama only because we are doing a prolonged exhalation. So that much importance we have to give for Om. So chanting Om is itself is to be taken very long, as good as possible. The reason, see, when I chanted that Om, lot of whatever thoughts in my mind, it all came down to that just Om. So it reduces my stress levels and calms the nerves. So practice all the mantras with proper feelings in the mind. Okay, that is the first point. Let us give importance to all the mantras. Consider them as pranayama only. Not that only if you do Anulom Pranayam or say Ujjayi, only then you are doing pranayama. No, even Om is also a pranayama. Other thing that we have to observe is, see, most of the classes are happening online. So that is another important point. So before you start the class, you have to keep yourself visible. I'm not talking about this class. This class, the teacher is not observing you much. Okay, you can sit, but when you are attending the class, you should be visible to the teacher. So what is the rule? The full length of the mat should be visible in your screen. You should check that before the class starts. See, I checked myself before I started my class for you. So this is my end of one mat, right? Mat one end. This is the other end. So I ensured that the full mat is visible. So if I lie down, I will be visible. What is the other thing that you have to ensure? If you stand up, then also you should be visible. If I move this side, I am visible. If I move this side, I am visible. If I lie down, stand up, every position, I am visible to you. So that is important. So your own position must be ensured. Let me put my this one to the main screen. Yeah. So please ensure that this is done. Otherwise, what will happen? You will be doing something and the teacher will not see you, and the teacher will not be able to correct you if you go in a wrong direction or make a mistake. So the idea is that you don't make an injury, you are safe while practicing, and all the points, important points are noted. So keep yourself clearly visible. So if you are using a phone, it is better to keep the phone in the landscape direction. When you put it landscape, your picture will be larger. If you keep it straight like a portrait, then your picture will be very small. All others will be big and your picture will be very small. So what will happen? The teacher's attention on you will be less. Whereas when other people are visible large things, you will be very small. So the attention on you will be less. So that is another point. And mute that and all, normally everybody is doing this point. Every class I find, many people, their only leg is visible. When they go down in Surya Namaskara, Chandra, when they are on the mat, nobody is there in the screen. Only some window, some door and all are there. So that should be avoided. Try to make yourself clearly visible. That is another point. Now, before doing anything, we have to do loosening practice. Remember, somebody asked you, okay, you are practicing yoga for so many years. Can you show me Chakrasana? Can you show me Sarvangasana? So in that interest, I also used to do that when I was boy, when I was learning yoga. Suddenly I will show, because I can show to him, no, I can do Chakrasana. Suddenly I will do Chakrasana. Okay, for children it may be fine, but after you cross the age of say 20, 25 and all, never practice suddenly. Always do loosening. Even if you are doing pranayama, little loosening is important. Say joint rotations, neck rotations, okay, all these simple loosening practices you have to do, because your body must be prepared for pranayama. Okay, so let us do the loosening practice. I have got, yes.
सर सूर्य नमस्कार के अंदर भी ये लूजनिंग?
यस, सूर्य नमस्कार करने से भी पहले लूजनिंग करना चाहिए.
Okay.
See,
can Surya Namaskar itself be the loosening?
See, some people do it, but see, progressively I'm telling. If you are an experienced person, say several years you're practicing, still after some age, when you are not active for, say, especially in the mornings, say you are out of the bed, your body is totally at rest. Now suddenly if you do ekam, inhale, bend back, do exhale, so the body is not ready, the joints are not mobile. So we have to be careful. So it may not injure you suddenly, but when you do that quite frequently, there are chances of an injury. So simple, even if you're not practicing the complete 10 minutes loosening, at least 4 to 5 minutes, simple, like your wrist rotation, shoulder rotation, neck rotation, hip rotation, bending forward and backward, just twisting the body this way, that way, ankle rotation, knee rotation. So this will take maybe around 4 to 5 minutes. So that minimum loosening practice, like in advanced class we do just about 4 or 5 minutes loosening, because at least that joint mobility will come, and then start Surya Namaskar. Always see, let us, so I've been practicing so many years, none of the days I will start with a Surya Namaskar. No, it will not come. I will do, because it will be easier and it will be protecting the joints. So please practice minimum loosening practice. Okay, then you start Surya Namaskar.
Okay.
So now we will do a little loosening. So I'm turning because this is my direction. You don't have to turn. If you're loosening, just keep your hands back, shake your legs little time. Anytime if I'm not visible or if I'm not audible, please tell me so that I can correct myself. I'm just shaking my legs. And then I keep my feet together. I inhale, point my toes. Exhale it, point it backward. Inhale front. Exhale back. Inhale front. Exhale back. Inhale front. Exhale back. One more. Inhale front and exhale back. Then rotate the feet. 1, all the side. 2, 3. I'm observing my feet. 4, 5. Then change. 1, 2, 3. Let it take time, no problem. 4, 5. After that, inhale and keep the hands by the hips. So this was an inhale, right? I kept by the hips. When I exhale, bend the left leg, chin on the knee. Release, right leg. Release, left. Inhale, release. Exhale, right. Inhale, left. Release and right. Release. Then bend the left leg. Catch bottom of your thigh. Catch it close to the knee. This way, firmly catch. Inhale, straighten the leg up. Does the hand move? It doesn't. Exhale. 2. Exhale. 3. Exhale. Watch your own leg. 4. Exhale. One more. 5. And exhale. Release that leg. Bend the right. Catch the thigh bottom. Catch it close to the knee. 1. Bend. 2. Bend. Let it not be straight, no problem. 3. This much is also fine. Bend. 4. Bend. But don't release the hand. 5. And bend. Release. Left leg fold and cross over the right thigh. Catch toe, ankle rotate. 1, 2. Observation. 3, 4, 5. Full attention. 1. You're actually focusing on what's happening. 2, 3, 4. All the joints I am loosening. 5. Then keep that leg Padmasana. Where is the Padmasana? It's on the navel. So it was out, I kept it into the navel. Hands back, flap your thigh. If you're practicing with me, please do it. Nothing wrong. These are all very simple practices. Only thing is, you should not have had a late lunch. Say 3 o'clock and all. Don't do that. Lunch at least 2 to 3 hours earlier. Then catch the first finger. What is the first finger called? Big toe. So hook the big toe. How do you hook? I'm going to show you now how to hook. Many of you don't know. See, these are the 5 fingers, right? These index finger, middle finger, all the other fingers are not used. Bring them and insert it between the first and the second finger. First is the big toe. Insert these 2 fingers between that first and second finger, and you get a grip of that. That is called hooking the toe. So from there, I hook the toe and try to straighten my leg. Just lift it up. 1, it may not become straight, don't worry. 2, 3, which hand is used? Tanmay, your observation has to improve. 4, you're not focusing, you have to slow down your mind. So first thing is to slow down. Without slowing down, it's very difficult. Then exhale and keep it down. Then take the right leg, cross it over the left. See how I'm moving? I'm using my mind presence on this. So that presence has to come. Unless you get that, it's difficult. Now which hand will be used? Left hand. 1, 2 for rotating ankle. 3, 4, 5. Reverse. 1. You have to slow down, okay? 2, Tanmay. 3. Now you're using right hand. So you're not using the left hand only. If I see the same error, you're repeating. Now keep that leg on Padmasana. Hands back, flap the thigh. So you have to, identify your mind. Okay, left, hand, feet. All these things you have to divide the mind and think. Otherwise, it's not possible. Just slow down your mind. Keep flapping. Little time. Then I have to hook my toe again with the right hand. Inhale and stretch it front. Maybe this is enough. No problem. 1. Okay, I'm not able to straighten it. That's not an issue. 2, 3. Maybe after 1 year it will become like this. 4. After 2 years it will become like this. No problem. 5. Exhale, bring the leg down along with the hand. Fold both the legs to the groin. I'm turning because I don't have a space here. You don't have to turn. Then here, keeping the back straight. Did you see that? It was a little like this. I consciously brought my chest up. Now, automatically the grip came here in my groins. So my chest is up and the shoulders are rolled back. Using my hand. See, I pulled my hand and brought my chest up. It's not like this. This, if you do, your back problem will come. Did you see, observe that action of how I came? That's how I came. Then I flap. 1.
Sir, heel should be very near to the groin.
Yeah, as close as possible. As close as possible. If you find it tough, it's okay to keep a little front. It's okay. Whichever you find. Going front is easier actually, but the twist on the knee will be little more when you take the leg forward. If you keep here, the twist on the knee will be less, but the groin effect will be more. As close as possible. Yeah, keep your shoulder wide and the chest high. So this is called Titli Asana. No? Some people call it Titli, right? So it's just a butterfly. It opens up the groin. Little time is enough. After that, relax, release the legs in front of you. Keeping the hands behind, drop your chin on the chest. Eye close, neck rotation. 1. Inhalation and exhalation. 2. You feel nice. 3. See, all these things, any age group people can do. 4. So these are all simple things. 5. Now opposite side. 1. 2. Please mute your device. 3. Inhalation and exhalation. See, when I'm talking, I cannot breathe properly. 4. So I'm not practicing properly because I'm talking. I should not do that actually. 5. How many? 5 plus 5. Done. Then I keep my legs together and bring my hands in rowing position. Then take an in breath here. Exhale, row forward. Inhale, pull back. Exhale, front. Inhale, back. Exhale, front. Inhale, back. Exhale, front. Body is moving. Inhale, back. One more. Exhale, front. And inhale, back. Now again, yeah, tell me.
Sir, in this, my feet also moves.
It moves a little front and back. So when you, sometimes the position may little drift. It's okay. So when you exhale, come front, you have to point your toe towards the knee. Come front. When you inhale and pull back, the toe will point it towards the front. See that? Like this and like this. It'll keep changing. Okay? It's okay. So and then I start from here. Exhale, front. Inhale, back. 2. I'm actually thinking I'm rowing a boat. 3. What is it called? Nauka Chalana. 4. One more round. 5. Then stop. 5 plus 5. Then split your legs to wide V shape. So I turn because I don't have space there. So I split like this, right? Not much of space, but still I'm doing, okay?
Sir, how to improve on the split? I have a problem splitting in the Hanumanasana. Whenever the split has to happen, right? I can't go beyond certain limit. Even in this Sarvangasana, you say that split the legs, right?
Yes, yes.
Here also I can't split much. There is some limit. How to improve on that?
See, you have to go slow on this, because one thing is, generally people who walk a lot or do some jogging, who are active, and if you do that and you don't loosen your muscles and your joints, I mean muscles, it will be very strong. See, people who jog, use a lot of treadmills, their calf, thighs, everything will be very strong. It will be very, muscle will be strong, and it will be stiff at the same time. So when you do jogging, no, proper loosening after the practice, before the practice is important, so that the muscles are flexible, say strong and flexible. So that is one important thing. And it takes a lot of time for these hamstrings, all these extensions have to happen, it takes a lot of time. So methods are like things like Chaki Chalan, loosening practices, then practicing Hanumanas, whichever those asanas, more frequently. If you think your hamstrings are too tight, when you do the Hanumanasana, the front splits, right? So the pull will come, a lot of pull will come. So using the bricks, practice those asanas almost every day, and without making too much of hurry. Let it take time, but practice those asanas more frequently, so that you will get little more stretches on those areas. And as I said, in some class I used to say, like, when you bend forward while taking bath and all, try to bend without bending the knees, try to reach down in the normal daily life. So while picking up something from the floor, all these things, so keep all these practices on. It's our body, it takes long time, especially children it's easier, but after a particular age already the muscles are tough, I mean already stiff. It takes time, so have a lot of patience. That's what I can say. For example, Hanumanasana, it might have taken many years for me. For even now, my left Hanumanasana is good, but the right is not as good as that. But I'm still on that. So many years I'm having patience for that. My right side, if the leg is front, it's a little tight, this bottom. So I cannot do, so it's every person is different. So we have to live with that. Some of our asanas which you do good, somebody else cannot do. It's like that. So have that in your mind. Okay. And keep trying. So inhale. So bring the hands in front. Take an inhale here. Now exhale, go to the leg first. Don't go down directly. Exhale. Till here it's exhalation. Then inhale, come back. 2, 3, 4. See the breath. 5. And then opposite side. 1, 2. I don't have to lean back much. So this is opening here, and all these areas are opening. It's very effective one. 3, 4. One more round. 5. 5 plus 5, 10. And then fold the legs to Sukhasana. When you Sukhasana is a very, this one, a common problem is that Sukhasana will be like this. Like now Tanmay is sitting. Tanmay Sukhasana is like this. It's like somebody has fallen on your head. Huh? Is this Sukhasana, Tanmay? That's the problem of Sukhasana. Automatically becomes like this. See my back? This is Sukhasana. 90% of people Sukhasana is this. That's the problem with Sukhasana. Sukhasana, when you sit consciously, the sit bones are there. This one, those sit bones. That's the only one on the ground. This way you have to sit. Another method to correct your Sukhasana is with bricks or some pillow or something. So keep bricks like this and sit on that. What will happen? See, automatically the back rises. And now here bending forward is difficult because you will realize, oh, my back is like this. So because already the back is lifted. So in case you're sitting in Sukhasana and your back is not becoming straight, this is one method to make it straight. Keep bricks below when you're doing pranayama. Especially, see, after senior citizen and all, no, keep pillow or something below the buttocks so that your back is straight. Okay. Bricks are always an asset you can use for many things. Yeah. So, and in this position now you can keep one leg. So what is this called? One leg up. Some people call it Swastikasana and also called as Siddhasana. This is one leg. And then if you want, you can do other leg also, Padmasana, carefully. So Padmasana, when you bend, you have to, don't twist the knee like this, bend it, carefully keep it. So that joint is not damaged. If you want, keep one brick below the thigh like this. That's another way. And then slowly take the other leg. Gradually, this joint should not be twisted, knee joint much. Gradually keep it on the gradually. So you're in lotus position. Bring the arms in front with an inhalation. Fist close, spread. See, some people don't spread. They just straighten it. So that's why I use the word spread. Spread. Spread means really spread. Fold, spread. Close, spread. Close, spread. One more. Close, spread. Palm drop. Up, down. Up, back always straight. Down. Up, full. Down. Up, one more. Down. Up. Fist close. Rotate the wrist. 1, 2, 3. Feel those things. Then only you'll improve. 4, 5. Change. 1. See, all these have got quality. 2, 3. See how I'm observing my wrist. 4, 5. Then fold your arm. So your hand will come to shoulder. Straight. Fold. Straight. Fold. Straight. Fold. Straight. Fold. Straight. Then fold. Elbow touch. Then when the elbow goes up, did the chin come down? No. Many people do the chin down. 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposite side. 1. See, did you reach this position? Check. Did your elbow reach this position? Can you check this? All of you are doing it. If it's not reaching, that means your rotation was not complete. So when you take it up, it has to cross the head level and your muscle will touch the ear. Then it is shoulder rotation. 3, 4. So all these things I cannot explain when the actual class is running. 5. Then interlock the fingers. Inhaling, stretch the arm. So what is happening here? Your back is becoming straight. 1. What should I do? Should I hold the breath here? 2. No way. 3. Lock the anus. Automatic anus lock. See? 4. How did I remember that? Because already my anus got locked. That's why I remembered. 5. Exhale, hands down.
Well, these things are this practice we have to keep the anus lock.
No, this one, this because you have that upward, upward lift is happening. That time you have to pull up the anus.
Okay.
Yeah. See, many asanas, you will feel, oh yes, there. Yeah. It's not that in loosening you have to do the Mula Bandha, not required. Only this, when you do Parvatasana, it's an asana. So you're holding the back straight, right? And you're maintaining the posture. Automatically that upward Mula Bandha will catch in the body. Then slowly, see now my knees have started little discomfort. So I have to slowly open it. Both the legs are opened. Hands back, shake the legs. Little time. So those who are having senior parents, grandparents at home, see this 10 to 12 minutes of loosening. Now Marjari Asana will come. All this, if they do, that itself is a good enough practice for them, yoga practice. Those 10 to 15 minutes or 10 to 13 minutes are there. And then they let them do 10 to 15 minutes pranayama. Half an hour practice is enough for senior people, I mean citizen, maybe after age of 70 and all, 60, 70. And those who want to go mild, that's enough. So then I come to cat position. In cat, what are the distances? One is, so this distance, knee to knee will be forearm. Knee to hand position will be also forearm. Feet also forearm. You can do this way if your knees doesn't have much discomfort. If you find your knees are having a pain, this is better. Also, if you find too much of difficulty, what you have to do? Use this blanket kind of thing. You have a thick bed sheet, that's enough. So keep this and keep the knee on that. For every difficulty, there is a technique. Anything, there is a remedy. See, if you are not able to Sarvanga Asana, there is a method. If you are not able to do Vajrasana, there is a method. Everything, there is some method. And people can practice. Okay. So here I come, Marjari position. Then inhale, chin up, tailbone up. You can see my center dropped. Center has gone down. Tailbone has come up. Chin has come up. So that U shape has to come. On the exhale, I round my back. The rounding has come. Inhale 2. Exhale. So try to follow the timing that the teacher is telling you to do. Now I will do the same little slower. Observe that. Was it not a little more slow? So whatever the teacher is telling you to do, in that pace you can do. So sometimes it can be done like this also. I'm not saying something is wrong and something is right. Just follow the pace of the group. When you travel with the group, you're always protected. Okay, so go with the pace. Let's do 3
Marjari Asana, you're not doing Ujjayi, right? It's normal breath.
Yeah, you can do normal breath if you're able to breathe throughout the full length of that movement. If you find your breath is finishing before the action is getting over, you can do Ujjayi breaths.
Okay.
Yeah, here I'm doing Ujjayi because little time I get for proper breathing. Okay, then inhale, look straight in front. This is a neutral position. When you exhale, lift your knee backwards, go to mountain position. That's all. Stay for some time. 1. It's a steep and short based mountain. 2. Try to look towards the navel. 3. Here, minimize the rounding of the back. Don't do like this. So you have to reduce this hunch.
So this is a hunched back. You have to take it to this position. So what will happen? The stomach will touch the thigh. You can see that, right? So I'm trying to make a concave. I'm supposed to look at the navel. I've got a mic, so it's obstructing me. That's the reason I'm not looking fully there. 5. Then step forward. Don't take too many steps, like not like that. So from here, take one step. Try to take one step. More of it is technique, I'm telling you. See, we don't think, okay, what is the method to do this? So you can bend this knee, no problem. Come a little forward. And so if you want, you can come on the fingertips. See, instead of here, I come a little on the fingertips, not too much. And take, see, one hand I remove and keep this leg somewhere here. Now it's easy. So if you try with full palm, it may not work. Shift the weight and try to bring as close as possible and walk the second. Inhale, head up. All that is one inhale. On the exhale, try to fold your body as much as you can. Now inhale, stand up. Take the hands sideways up, sideways. I have a wall here, so I take little shortcut there. Sideways up. Look at the thumb. Exhale, hands down. Samastiti. So I finished all the loosening. So as I said, this much is fairly good enough for a person who wants to go very mild. Senior citizen at home, grandparents, all of them, you can ask them. There is a recorded video also of this loosening practice. इसमें आपने ये चक्की चालन किया, आपने वो नौका चालन किया, मर्जरी आसन किया, और क्या जरूरत है? काफी चीज आ गया इसमें. उसी में से उन लोगों का एज्ड लोगों का थोड़ा सा सब योगा हो जाएगा. और उसके बाद कपालभाति, भस्त्रिका, नाड़ी शुद्धि प्राणायाम, ये सब कर सकता है. And that's enough. Okay. So any questions? Yeah.
Adhastasana, how much I try. Adhastasana, how much I try. Always have slight bend in my knees.
Padahastasana, forward bending, na?
Yes.
So so maybe no, because little stiffness on the hamstrings and all, no, that may be reason why the bend is a little difficult for you. टाइम लगेगा, धीरे धीरे आएगा. तो इसमें थोड़ा सा आपको ध्यान ये देना है कि जब लोग when we are doing the सूर्य नमस्कार, now just observe, I've put it in one video I think, where the bend starts. Here the bend will start, where the thigh bone connects with the pelvis. So this is the pelvic girdle. This is the girdle of the pelvis on which your thigh bone is connected. Your spine is connected from the here on your pelvis. All the connections are coming from on the pelvis. So the bend has to start from here. So when you do that bend, just observe where is the bend coming. So when I lifted my hand, my backbone become original shape. So when I put like this, there was a little, not straight here. When I lift the arm, that's why we do Surya Namaskara first lifting, then we bend forward. So I came. Now when I bend, keep the body long. Where is the bend coming? You observe this point. Where is the bend come? The bend has started from here, not from here. This started from here, where the thigh starts. This is the joint where the pelvis is connecting with the thigh bone. So to bend from here, your hamstring should be long. This length has to come. So keep the body long front. It will answer many of the questions which I think I had from some people. Like maybe I think Gopi also was asking about it, talking about it. So try to reach. Many of us, I'm not saying you are making mistake. I'm not saying that. My idea is not that. It's a general information. When you bend, lead the body front. Take it long, and then go down. That picture should be there in the mind. So it has started from here, and stomach is coming. Head is not coming. Head is last. So don't do like this.
Where is the bend coming? Here. Wrong. It is not bending from here. If you do this, guarantee back problem. Where is the bend? Bend is on somewhere here. That's not where the bend has to come. Bend has to come from here, when the pelvis. That's why I said bend from the pelvis. Pelvis starts here. Reach. इतना चलेगा मुझे, इतना हो जाएगा, बस. This is enough. I don't want you to bend further. Don't do this. I mean, from here. So lead it front. Day by day you will feel better. आ रहा है, नीचे से आ रहा है, अरे हेड डालना कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है, वो लास्ट है वो. That way. Try to get that length of the bend.
Sorry, for which asana the leg should be closer, for which it should be wider?
Feet together and feet wider, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Entire Surya Namaskar, standing position. See, now this is feet is together. Now when you're doing like say eye rotation, it's not an asana now. So you need little gap, because it's easy, because you're using eye rotation, you cannot look any balancing point. Then your Udhyana Bandha, Agnisara Kriya, all these places the leg feet is wider. When you are relaxing, the feet is apart. Whenever you come back from a Surya Namaskara, a gap between one asana to the other asana, all these positions the feet will be wider. But when you say Samasthiti means this has to be Samasthiti. Your touch has to come, hand will be tight. So Samasthiti means like this, feet together. All entire Surya Namaskara, standing position, feet is together. When you do that in Surya Namaskara, Chandra Namaskara, this Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, this one, here the feet is apart. Mountain pose, feet is apart. Okay, when you walk forward, then now you're coming to standing position, feet has to be together. Okay, all Samasthiti, feet is together. Eye rotation, then say hip rotations, all those back bending, forward bending, loosening practice, it will be apart. Then Udhyana, Agnisara, these positions your feet will be away, shoulder distance. Okay. So, yeah.
Sir, in Chakki Chalana,
Yeah.
what is the main focus? Our arm should touch the feet, or is it the body coming forward?
It's a body action. So your hand is only a facilitator, and it's not an asana which you are holding, right? It's a loosening practice. So I bring the body front. The same principle of bending, bringing the body front is required. It's the body. It's not your head or the hand. The hand will take you there. So if you target to touch the hand on the feet, your body will also extend forward. That's the principle. So the importance is for reaching the body, not the hand. Hand is only a facilitator.
And the shoulder movement, sir, that is the when we do in loosening practice, you just now showed wherein your shoulder is reaching above your ear.
Elbow.
Elbow, basically. Most of the time not able to reach there, sir. How do I improve this?
See, you're able to lift like this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, from here just bend your hand backwards and keep it on the back of the shoulder. Is your elbow above your shoulder, above your head level now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you just have to be conscious. See, now everybody is able to do this much. The problem, I'll tell you, many of the times we come here. So while rotating, see, we block our own hand. See, I'm not saying you're doing that. I've seen some people doing. So when you bring it like this, they block it with the hand here, and then you cannot take up. They will take sideways. You got it? So when you come here, don't take it sideways. You come here, take it up. So the hand will go behind, not between the ear and the shoulder. From here, don't do this. So take your hand backward like that. Then it will go up. Then exhale like that. So touch the muscle on the ear and bring it. Is it clear, Divya?
Got it, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other queries? So I was talking about, yeah, I think, yeah, that forward bending I explained. Then, so we have completed all the loosening practices. Now we will see I will reply the queries which I received. So that is first priority. I'll talk about pranayama after little asana. This one, there was a question on Marichasana B. Getting that binding is too hard. Chin doesn't reach. And Upavishta Konasana, the body needs. So this is again a little issue because of the flexibility of the body. So I think with the experience it will come. It will take a little more time. That's all. So just have a lot of patience because the difficulty the person is feeling that he is not able to touch the chin on the knee in Marichyasana. So how is that Marichyasana done? Observe it. Samasthiti. Inhale, I bend my left leg. The second step is very important in Marichyasana. I have to bring this shoulder front of this knee. No, it's sure I cannot bring it from this side. So where I have to bring it? If this shoulder has to come in front of the knee, it has to come from inside only. Correct? It cannot come from this side. Shoulder cannot cross. So I bring it from this side. So I bring the shoulder in front of the knee. So this, if you don't do properly, the remaining steps are tough. If I start from here, some people are starting from here. There's no way you can reach. Your hand will not bend also properly. So bring this shoulder really front. So it comes front. Then what will happen? Then it's easy to take the hand back. See, it already went back. So the trick is this shoulder, bringing it in front of this knee. If you don't bring it from here, it's not possible. See, it is very difficult. It can reach only, whatever you do, it will reach here. Then it may not, this hand may not reach also. So bend a little forward while exhaling. Ekam, bending the leg is inhalation. While exhaling, I bring my shoulder in front. So the armpit has come to the shin. So this is exhalation. Then inhaling, I swing the right arm from the back. And then it's easy to catch. Because this shoulder came in front. That's why it's easy to catch. And then exhaling, bend a little. Now I have to wait. Why should I wait? Anybody? Can I go suddenly down? Why am I waiting? Anybody can reply that?
You have to wait for the next exhale.
Who is that? Muthu Ramanathan. So that is the intelligence I want. See, Muthu had that. I'm not saying that nobody else thought about it. Muthu spoke about it, that's all. So I inhaled. So I have to wait for the leader, you know, that VIPs and all, no? You have to wait for them, no choice. Here the VIP is breath. There is no VIP otherwise. There is VIP is the breath only. You have to wait for the VIP to come. That VIP, when that VIP comes, that time you have to bend. Okay. So I inhale. VIP came. Now exhale. Then inhale. Then I exhale. VIP over. Now I cannot go down because inhale is coming. How can I go down when inhale is coming? Inhale is for inhalation, not for bending. Then I go. Oh, this will take another 5 years. No problem. I'm happy because now next inhale is coming. Exhale. Today my back is little stiff, so I don't want to go further. One more inhale and exhale. Over, my marichi is over. Then I inhale, come up. Exhale, release. Tomorrow my back may be better, so tomorrow I will do it better, or maybe after 2 weeks. This intelligence is what yoga is about.
So, sometimes it is very for me, like I'm able to lock my hands, but I'm not able to touch my chin on the knee.
Yeah.
Sometimes, moving the standing knee slightly front after adjustment, sometimes is helping me, but I do not know where exactly to keep my standing knee, because if I keep it so front, my shoulder cannot come that forward to lock it. But if I keep it so back, I'm not able to bend forward to touch my chin. So what is the right place to keep or is that the problem, first of all? If so, then what should we do?
See, ideally, when you bend that, the closer your leg, the easier the binding. As you said, yeah, easier the binding. But from here, if you keep a little forward, you get the support of this leg to get that force. This way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So see, everybody's proportions are different. See, some people the arms are long, some people the legs are long. So depending on your own experience, your own self practice, there will be some place where you find a convenient position where you can bind, and at the same time you are able to bend. If you find that you want to do a little adjustment after binding, say after the binding, when you exhale, bend forward a little, and then when you inhale, if you want to really just move a little forward, this foot.
Oh, that is allowed. Okay.
Yeah, you can do. And then go. And when you inhale, come up, anyway, you got the position right. See, the idea is that, it's because everybody little difficult, difference will be there. So ideally, you are supposed to keep it close to the body only in the actual practice. Then you go down. So, and now see, if you keep it very close, you will get a good bind. Now you can see I am taking my wrist and catching. See how much I am able to bring as firm as possible. The firmest grip is the wrist in this asana. The fingers will not be very strong. The firm the grip, the better this asana. See, I am waiting for the leader. My inhale was not over. Then exhale. That way. Okay. So, sorry. From inhale, I come up. And exhale.
Sir, this is Sonal.
Yeah, Sonal. Yeah.
In this asana, I somehow lean towards one side, and I'm not able to balance very well in this asana. Forget about holding or touching finger. That is later. I think first I have to balance. So what is the problem? Why? Because probably my thighs are too much.
Yeah, I think where you place, see, if you keep it too close into the other thigh, you may lose balance to this side. Is that happening to you? Like if you keep it, are you losing balance to this side or
Other
that side?
Other side.
This side, is it?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe you are keeping the leg too close. Keep it a little away so that you get the base a little more wider. If you get a little wider base, like little gap between this thigh and the feet, I think you will not be losing the balance that much. When it's too close, what is happening? So there is very less space for the body to be on that position. So that may be reason why you are losing the balance. You may try keeping it a little away from the thigh, little, so you get a wider area for balance. That way, you can try. And see, many of the times our abdominal fat, the visceral fat, all that obstructs our practice. So gradually you may have to just check whether is that the reason. and then work on how you can reduce those obstructions, how to place your leg properly, hand properly to reduce those obstructions. As I said, if you do that elbow rotation by this obstruction, many people do that, so that it's our own mind, this one, right? So this way, try to reduce those obstructions whereby you can get that binding.
So sorry, in the same asana,
Yeah.
when I try to come forward and bind my hand, I feel that my thigh tends to move away. And then I'm not able to bind my bind behind actually. So there is one is, I think it's the abdominal fat which is but moving my thigh, I don't know if that is something where I'm going wrong.
Maybe I think when you're doing next time, I can observe a little so that I'll get to know where is it. No, given.
Okay.
Yeah, I can observe and then give you a guidance on that.
Fine. Sir.
Yep. So with that was one query. Then.
Sir, also Ardha Matsyendrasana, can you just show how you lift and then try to bind actually? There's a gap again there. Just want to hear how I can.
Yeah. So from Samasthiti, exhale. Ekam, inhale. I'm folding my right leg because I'm going to show you the left side. Then exhale, keep the other leg. Now inhaling, I lean a little back. So I think last time I showed that. So I clear my stomach from the line of my thighs. And then when I exhale, I bring the armpit on the thigh. So here itself, actually the twist is over. See, the body is twisted. What is remaining? Just looking back only. So looking back is done with an inhalation. Body is already twisted. So ekam, inhalation, dvi, exhalation, trini, inhalation, reach a little high, and with exhale, bring that. So that effect, that action is the most important in Ardha Matsyendra. So all the job is done by this third action. Chatwari is just drishti. Exhale. So now, don't do this. This pushes on. In Ardha Matsyendra, you have to keep this push on. So the armpit is fixed. Do you see any gap between the armpit and the thigh? No. So that is one method to check whether your Ardha Matsyendra is good. If you see a gap here, you can see now. Then your Ardha Matsyendra is, you can see there is a hole here. This should not be there in Ardha Matsyendra. Try to reduce this gap. So if it's sitting like this, all these are indicative that your twist is not good enough. So it is not easy, when it takes time to get there, to twist the body, all these actions, every asana is connected. Let me tell you one thing. Now in Hatha Yoga, so people ask me, sir, I want to improve my twisting capability. I want to improve my forward bending capability. I want to reduce the fat on the visceral fat. See, there is don't go behind this. For example, when you do Ardha Kati Chakrasana, this side bending, this rib is opening. So what is the effect of this? It improves your pranayama. When you do lateral strengthening, that helps you in Shirshasana. Asanas which, when you are doing a hamstring stretch, your Chakki Chalana, that helps you in forward bending. So one asana is a food to the other asana. The other asana will be food to the third asana. Don't go behind, okay, मैं आज पूरा मेरा टम्मी को एकदम फिट कर लूंगा. कुछ फिट नहीं होगा. सब कुछ करना है. सूर्य नमस्कार करना है, फॉरवर्ड बेंडिंग चाहिए, बैक बेंडिंग चाहिए, ट्विस्टिंग चाहिए, सब कुछ करना है. Everything. Don't do. I will do only core strengthening asana. There is. I don't think this is going to work. You have to do all the asanas. Standing asana, sitting asana, lying down, prone asana. Everything you have to do, because one asana will be a help to the other asana. So take it as a wholesome experience. So don't think if I do keep on doing Ardha Matsyendrasana, my twisting will improve. No. Your Supta Garudasana in lying down position, you remember that? When you do this, that coiling the arms, coiling the legs and twisting the body, you do this, right? Now what is happening? The entire ribs are twisting. The full ribs are twisting here. Now this will help you in Ardha Matsyendrasana. Ardha Matsyendrasana will help you here. So all these things you have to remember. So this is the trick of Ardha Matsyendra.
So one doubt.
Yeah.
So when I try to push more my shoulder towards the knee, sometimes the other hand, when it is quite far off, I'm not able to do that. Only when it is closer, I'm able to push it better. Is that okay? That is one doubt. And second doubt is, like, if I have to catch the toe, it is possible only when the toe is slightly lifted from the ground. And after that I'm trying to push it towards the ground. And is that okay for some days if the toe is above the ground?
Yes, that's all fine. See, you're not making any major deviation. See, initially you may be like this. So you catch like this, and then gradually you will come closer, and become like this.
Yeah, at that time the hand, the other hand is also trying to come towards closer to the body.
Yeah, that's all fine.
The resting hand.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry. Initially start like this. It's because there may be little twisting difficulty. It's okay. Start like this. Catch this toe like this. Nothing wrong in all that. But because you are aware of it, it's not that you are not aware of it and doing this. If you're not, you're thinking, and I'm not talking about you. If you're thinking, ye Ardha Matsyendrasana hai, then it's a problem. If I'm doing with knowledge, then it's not an issue, because you know where you reach. You know this is where you reach. So don't worry. Start a little mild that way and gradually get there. No problem.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So one more is Gomukhasana, sir.
Yeah. Yes. Gomukhasana. What? Any specific query or?
So the query is basically the. You told me last time also you had demonstrated wherein you said the thigh has to be one above the other.
Yeah.
And the feet has to lie flat, like how it is positioned now, but not able to reach that level.
Okay. One second. I think there's some chat. Who's doing chat? I don't know. Stop these chats. Nobody is reading them. Tanmay, stop chatting. I told you many times, okay, not chat in the group. Don't do that. You're putting OK, big PK and all. Don't do that. Nobody's reading that. Okay, now what you asked. So I fold my left leg below the right knee. See, automatically program worked. Breathing. Then exhale, fold the other leg. So this step is important. So try to minimize this offset. So the hip joint flexibility is important to get there. And try to align both the feet backwards. Don't keep in standing position and all. So try to pull that in that exhalation time. Then inhaling. Now which hand has to go up? The right hand. So left hand has to go up because the right leg is on the top. And back hand from the back side. Then while exhaling, I catch the finger. Align. Full breathing. So there will be a little, it's not a symmetric asana, because the one hand is up, other hand is down. It's not like a Paschimottanasana, Ushtrasana, which is symmetry, both the sides. This is an asymmetric asana, so complementary side you have to do. So one side will always be better than the other side, quite likely. Most of the people, when the right hand is up, it's easier, because all of us are right-handed people. When the left hand is up, it is a little difficult. So little try to straighten your back and bring the elbow as behind as possible. So it comes with when your thighs are a little tight or a little broader, when there is a little extra fat accumulated, then it's difficult to align the knees one above the other. So it's okay to keep it little offset this way, and then try. So gradually you have to get there. That's all what I can give you. And when you do the other side, you will find one of the sides are easier compared to the reason is one hand we use more frequently. So when you do the other side, I'm showing from the back side. Then when exhale comes, I make it firm. On the exhale, I release. Inhaling, first leg out. Exhaling, other leg. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the knee on the top will be slightly lifted, right, sir? Whichever knee is on the top, there will be a gap between the one in the below and the one on the top. So that's fine, right? Or we have to attempt towards bringing it closer and closer day by day.
You have to make it as close as it can come. So there is a gap, there will be a gap, but it should not be like this much. Like, it's high, the gap should not be like this distance and all. Right? So the more you cross, if you cross really, then the distance will become very less. Now the knee distance is, say, this much. It is almost as packed as it can, because except that the thigh is there. No? So beyond the thigh you cannot squeeze it. So try to cross it really. This side, this side. When you do this, what happens, you can feel. If you feel your groins are squeezed, it's one of the asanas which are good for reproductive organs, because it squeezes that area. It squeezes. So the more you cross, the better this asana for the reproductive organs.
So can I ask a doubt in Surya Namaskar?
Yeah.
When you are moving from the Dandasana to the Cobra pose, I see that I observed that your legs are actually quite wide. It is more like a V shape. All these days I have been doing it in such a way that my legs are actually straight, and only when I go to mountain pose, I widen my legs. Till that it has been always straight. And now when I saw your video, there's a slight gap between the two legs while you're doing Dandasana as well as while doing the Cobra pose.
Yeah.
Is that allowed? Because when I try to correct it now after doing long time, I find it very, very difficult to have the legs split.
So this Urdhva Mukha Svanasana is done with the legs a little away only. It's not, if you find it that, because it opens the lower back when you do that. In Chaturanga Dandasana, it's together. If you're doing Chaturanga like this,
yeah,
little gap comes between the feet. So it's not done like this, your Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. 1 second. Tanmay, I'm going to remove you from the group because you're still chatting. This is not allowed. Because what is happening, other people are getting disturbed. Tanmay, stop that. Stop that. Go away from the camera. Go away. Go away from the computer. Go away. No chatting. Go away. If you do that again, you will be disconnected from the class. I'm telling you, okay? Yeah. So in Chaturanga, the feet is together. It's a plank. It's a low plank. From here, when you slip and come up, the feet comes a little away. And then it is apart. If you find there is no, I think ideally you can change that if possible. When you slip your foot back and come to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, most of the pictures you can see, even in B.K. Iyengar, the Urdhva Mukha is done with the feet a little apart. Maybe you can try and change that. You can. Because it opens up the back really. If you keep it close, it shrinks the back.
Okay. Okay.
This opens the back. Maybe you can try to modify that. Yeah, Muthu?
Sure, sir. Thank you.
But the cobra that we do in the Shivananda Surya Namaskar, that is the feet are together, right?
No, this is not a cobra pose. See, that is Bhujangasana. What you're talking about is Bhujanga. So when you're doing Bhujanga, it can be together. Like you're doing this position or this position. So this will be together, feet is together. This is cobra where the thigh and the knees are on the mat. But what we are doing in Surya Namaskara, this you can do this also. But if you are doing Urdhva Mukha Shvanasana, keep the feet little apart. Here the knees are not touching the floor. The thighs are not touching. It's a float. The float of the body. It's a float.
What is it called in English? I mean, if it is not cobra, then what is it called in English?
Upward facing dog.
Okay, so Shivananda does not have, Shivananda is cobra, and this one that we are doing, the Svyasa, I think we are doing, right? This is the Svyasa Surya Namaskar.
So I'll tell you this one. See, cobra or Bhujang, let it be Shivananda or Svyasa, Soham, Chandra Namaskar, any style of Surya Namaskar. Beginners, you can do cobra. Okay. Now, see, this is I've seen some classes, they will do this much only. From here, they do this much only. So in Surya Namaskara. So this is for first timers. If you're good, so this doesn't strengthen the upper body. It improves the flexibility of the back. That's all. In Cobra, the upper body doesn't become stronger. Much effect will not come. It improves the flexibility. Now, if you're good enough, you go to the next level. From here, I go to full Cobra. Right? Little more advanced people. Now I'm okay. I'm good with both. Now then I have to go to the next level. Even let it be any Surya Namaskara. I go to Urdhva Mukha. Now this is this improves the upper body strength. So you can teach it that way. Like people who are not easy with those full Urdhva Mukha Shvanasana upward facing dog, let them start with half cobra position with the elbow bend. If they have been practicing for quite few months, few years, go to the next level, go to full cobra where your arch becomes more better. If you're good, if you're happy with that, if you like to do the next level, go to Urdhva Mukha Shvanasana where the knees and thighs are lifted.
Any reason behind should not touch knee and thighs ground?
Yeah, because see, when you do the knee and the thighs are lifted up, the upper body becomes very strong because the entire body is lifted on the arms here. The full body is lifted.
Because there will be stress on lower part of the legs, right?
Oh no. So it's a pull.
Okay.
Pull. Your upper body is taking the weight. Okay. So that's the next level. So
because sometimes I used to do that mistake. So just want to clarify.
Yeah, I've seen. I think it's Bharat, right?
Yes.
In your case, I've been telling. So you were resting the knee and thighs on the ground always, I think.
Yes.
So if you find that's all what you can do, it's okay. But if it is without awareness, then there is a next level you can go. Where is the knees and thighs are lifted. That's the next.
Sure. So now I know the reason, so I will try improving.
Tonal, so I think I'm clear. Similarly, so beginners, they do this, right? Your Ashtanga Namaskar, they do this.
Yes.
This is Ashtanga Namaskara. So after few months or years of practice, you will feel, okay, I can go to the next level. That is Chaturanga Dandasana. This is also you can do Surya Namaskara only. So those who want to improve the effort being done in Surya Namaskar, those who want to improve the core strengthening, shoulder strengthening, upper body, all of them you should do a plank, the Chaturanga Dandasana which showed. So both are right. There is nothing right and wrong in this. Yeah. So it's just the next level. Hope Sonal, I'm clear. I think what I spoke.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll go to the pranayama section. See, so there's a question on pranayama.
So there's a question on lying down asana also, sir. I also wanted the same thing to be checked.
Okay.
one is on Naukasana, and the second one before to that is immediately after when we lie down and we take 90-degree, and then we hold our legs and then we spread it.
Yes.
That spread, I want to know what is the extent we are looking at. Is it like it has to touch the ground? That is the final posture, or what is that exactly we are looking?
Yeah, okay. So since it's a prone position, supine, so I'll put a cloth mat. So it's a good idea to keep a cloth mat handy. So when you lie down, put that. Otherwise, no, your oil on the hair will come on the mat. So it will start slipping. And if you do only on the cloth mat will slip on the ground. So don't do that. Put a rubber mat. Above that, put a cloth mat. So I'm going to directly her position. So I inhale, lift both my legs to 90-degree. So from here. Then exhale, I bring my hands down. Then with an inhalation, I hook the big toe. That's all. So nothing required. So it was in 90. I bring it a little down without bending the knee and hook the toe. So you can see my arm is straight, the back is flat, and the legs are straight. So this is called Supta Padangusthasana. I have to keep it as flat as I can. I finish that position with an inhalation. Then now I am to turn sideways because I don't have space here. I'll turn like this. And then I exhale and split my leg. So it opens up the inner abductors. I hope you can see me properly.
Yes, sir, you're visible.
Two more breaths. So there is a way to bring the toes on the floor. So that's for seniors. Okay, so how to do that is catch the heel from here. Catch the heel, and then touch it on the floor. So it's now touching fully on the floor, both the toes. You saw that? It's obstructing my laptop. So it's difficult to pull it with the toe and bring it. So bring it as wide as you can. If you find you are getting stuck, you're not getting extra force to pull it down, what you do is catch the heel and then straighten the leg, and then it will come and touch the ground. Like that. Then inhale, bring. So that's the maximum you can reach on that. Then inhale, bring the leg center. Exhale, hands down. Then inhale, roll up to your Sarvangasana and all. So that's the where you can reach maximum in that asana. Supta Padangusthasana.
So the last one is the Supta Garudasanas, the locking of the feet.
Yeah. So I cross from, I don't have space here. I cross and take it high. So if you don't cross it really, then the lock will not come. Because that cross should be good. You saw that. Now I took it to the other side. This feet cross this side. So take it, don't do this much. It will not go. And your thighs, if your thighs are broad, that will not cross also. So try to cross it really. So take this knee inward and take this knee outward. So let that knee go in and out, or right and left. Then that tying the feet will come. Like that. That's the trick. So yes, many of the people you will not be able to tie it really. The reason is a little broader thighs. So if it's not tying, no problem. Just cross the leg and keep on twisting. After some time, that flexibility of the joints will come, and it will be able to lock it. So bear this in mind. Take this knee this side, take this knee that side. Really take it crossed. Then it's easy. Like that.
Sir, in the same position, the Supta Garudasana, you generally mention stretch your arms. No, basically you mention
Widen the arms.
widen the arms. What do you? What are you intending there, sir?
Yeah. So when my shoulder goes apart, then the twist becomes more intense. So when I cross, so another thing is, if you're not able to cross, you can use your hands. So if it's very tough, use your hands like this, and then keep it down. That's also fine. Okay. Now I'm twisting. Now you can see when I twist, this shoulder becomes a little high. It goes. So I have to stop here. So I should not lift this shoulder. So here, now if I reached, I'm beyond this, I cannot twist. Now I reposition, see, now I reposition my shoulder and take the twist a little more. So the wider I go here, the wider my shoulder is, the longer is the distance from this shoulder to this knee. In this asana, what is actually happening? The distance from right shoulder to the right knee is increasing. You saw that? So that's how the body gets twisted here. This kidney region, all this region, this waist region, all this region. Why is it twisting? Imagine this shoulder was like this. It will not twist only. So the longer I keep my arm, the wider I take my arm, the distance between the hands, if it's long, then the twist is better. I can see now, see, its twist is better. If I keep it short and shrunk this way, now the twist is not good. So I keep reaching a little wider and I can now increase the twist that way.
Sir, in this one, is it okay to use your other hand and then press your knee on the ground on the side of that hand only?
You can use it, but more effective method, I'll tell you. The better effect comes by tightening the other leg. So if you're here, just try when you're next time when you do it. So when you do this, I'm here, right? Now I tighten this leg, the bottom leg, left leg. See, I'm here. Now I push my leg and see, now I'm putting force. Now good twist has come. This hand may not be as, good as the other leg. If you find it here, you can pull it, no problem, but you may lose the balance. The grip of the arms are important to get the twist. So see, I'm gripping both the arms. I press and twist the body. See, this shoulder is also wide, this shoulder is wide. The shoulders are getting wider and flatter. And then I tighten my bottom leg to bring the top leg down.
So sorry, your leg is not visible, sir.
Oh, is it? Okay. Is it visible now? Okay, it's outside the camera, I think. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Now it's better.
See, now this leg, the bottom leg, I have to tighten this leg so this knee will touch the ground. So I tighten this leg, see? I tighten the bottom leg so the top leg touches.
And also, while twisting, you synchronize your exhalation with that, automatically twist also increases.
Yes, correct.
So which one should I give priority? Sometimes if both my shoulder and my knee, it's a 1 inch. If I touch 1 inch here, my shoulder lifts by 1 inch. Which one should I give priority?
So keep the shoulder down. Okay, keep the shoulder down. Because that's where you started from. Okay. Now let the knee take its time to reach. So what you can do is keeping the shoulder down, tighten the, now this you try next time. It's a subtle point. Tightening the bottom leg, no? And as Sridhar said, synchronizing breath. So try tightening the consciously. You can do on your own, no? Maybe just consciously tighten the bottom leg. That leg will push the top leg. Try that. Okay. You will find a little difference that comes.
So just one small question here. When you're splitting in Supta Padam Ushtrasana, split is to the sides, right? So not towards the head side.
Yeah, see, no, it's a split towards the sides only, but your hand cannot reach as far as your legs are. So if you're trying to make a full split, automatically the leg will come a little towards the head side, because your hand cannot reach the leg full distance, not possible. Okay.
Oh,
No, it cannot reach. So you can, if you want, you can stop at the point where your the leg finishes. I mean, that plane, it doesn't come to the head side. It's okay.
right. Right. That's where I stopped. So because I never tried to bring it towards the head. So
Yeah.
towards the sides, maximum whatever I can, I am splitting
That's
it.
enough. That's enough. Don't go beyond that. Not required.
Oh,
Now, can I spend a little time of pranayama? Another 15 minutes I have, I think.
Sorry, last one is Naukasan.
Yeah. Naukasan, what is the difficulty you face like?
No, today I saw that pic what you had shared of Shweta. Just wanted to check. So basically, it's only the stomach which is lying on the ground.
Yeah.
Everything else is.
Yeah, everything else is there. Now, so Swapna was doing better than me. I cannot do like her. She was really high. So, see, in this asana, when you lift up, try to lift everything as high as you can lift up, including except your stomach, as you rightly said. So, with an inhale, I lift everything up like that, as high as you can lift. Try to keep the legs also together.
Sir, thigh also will lift, sir. Thigh also will lift.
In the air, thigh is also in the air.
Okay.
In the air. If you see
Okay.
where the girdle starts, no, this urinary region, this area will be on the floor. This lower abdomen region. Entire upper body, entire lower body lifts up.
Got it, sir.
Chest will not touch. Everything will be in the air.
so when you lift the legs, the toes are touching, but there seems to be a gap, at least in the knee or just above the toe, maybe near the shin bone. So there is a gap. How do we close that gap? I'm trying to push it together to keep it together, but I'm finding it difficult, especially in that pose when the arms are also up and we are balancing only by the stomach.
I think that comes when the height improves and you're able to exert that pressure, you will be able to join the legs. It's a little tricky to join the legs there. That's joining. So you have to tighten the legs a little so that it comes closer, as close as possible. Yeah.
Sir, Sonali here. I have one question. Like when we do Chandra Namaskar, right? So that time we do the warrior pose, right? So as in, if I'm doing separately, like last month when we were doing that warrior pose, I'm able to do it. But when in the flow of Chandra Namaskar, when we do that warrior, no, I just want to see how you are doing this.
Warrior pose is not there in Chandra Namaskar. It is Anjaneyasana. You're talking about this pose, like this one. This one, right?
Yeah.
This is Anjaneyasana. Let's see shape. So he is down.
If you can show me one Chandra Namaskar fully, I can tell you.
Are you talking about the last 2 rounds? I think that that is not Chandra Namaskar. That is Ashtanga Surya Namaskara.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Here. Sorry. Here come. Bend the knee, touch the mat, then inhale. Do exhale. Then inhale, head up. Chatwari, step back, exhale, go down. Pancha, inhale. Shat, exhale. Sapta, right leg front, turn the left leg. Turn the left leg. Inhale, hands up. That is warrior pose. This knee cannot bend. So I think you're doing like this.
Yeah.
That's the main mistake. In the last 2 rounds, it's not this. This is different. That's in Chandra Namaskar.
Oh.
In Surya Namaskar, the leg is like this. It's not. Exhale, hands down. Inhale up. Exhale. Then same position on the other leg. So to turn the back leg, okay. Now I'll spend little time on pranayama question. So there was a question regarding benefits of each one, explaining nuances due to. Now see, I'll just talk about pranayama. So first thing is that you have to practice asanas to practice proper pranayama. You have to practice pranayama to do proper asanas. Both are interconnected. You cannot do only one. Now, as I said, pranayama starts with Omkar itself. Omkar itself is a pranayama. There are various, what is the meaning of pranayama? Prana ayama. Prana means life energy or breath. Ayama means prolonged or elongated. So elongated breathing is pranayama. It benefits are like lot, because first starts with calming the mind, improving lung capacity, reducing nervous stress relief, improves capacity, improves the overall system, all the circulatory system, nervous system, digestive system, every system is improved in pranayama. So the thing is, your body should be fit for doing pranayama. So if you think that no, I will do only pranayama, it will not work. If a person sits like this, how will he breathe? So first he has to bend, his back becomes straight. Then he can do proper breathing, right? So asanas like Ushtrasana, the twisting capability, Ardha Gati Chakrasana, the side bending, all that will help to open up the ribs. So continuously a person has to practice these asanas to keep their body fit for practicing pranayama. Then only the proper result you will get. Okay. Now if you see, there are various types of pranayama. We can categorize into majority around 3 or 4 categories. The first category is called vitalizing pranayama. Vitalizing means which opens you up, improves the energy. Major there are 2 pranayamas which vitalizes. One is Kapalabhati, one is Bhastrika. These are the 2 pranayamas which open you up, because when you do Bhastrika, what's happening? The entire lungs is opening up. The wind pipes are getting clear. So always start pranayama with vitalizing. Either Bhastrika or Kapalabhati, which is abdominal breath. That is Kapalabhati. So these are the 2 pranayama which are to be done before going into the next level of pranayama. The second category is called balancing pranayama. For example, Nadi Shuddhi, Ujjayi, Surya Vedana, Chandra Vedana, Anuloma, Viloma, Pratiloma. All these pranayamas will come into the category of balancing pranayamas, because it will, for example, when you do Ujjayi, you are inhaling and exhaling. When you do, and you are completing with symmetry. When you do Nadi Shuddhi, you start from the right, go to the left, start from the left, go to the right. It balances. And this pranayama is the superior, most important pranayama that you should practice. That is the second category. Third category is cooling pranayama. There are some pranayama which are cooled. For example, Shitali, then Shitkari, and then one more is Sadanta. I think Sadanta. 3 pranayamas come into that category, where Shitali is curling the tongue like a U shape. It pulls the cold air into the system. It cools the system. That's Shitali pranayama. Then you got Shitkari, where the tongue is rolled backward. So all these are cooling pranayama. And Sadanta, where you draw the air through the gap of the teeth. These are cooling pranayama. And one more last category is the resounding pranayama. Means it uses the technique of sound to calm the nerves. So for example, Brahmari. So when you do this, Brahmari, when you close your eyes, so you are using the effect of sound to calm the nerves. Then you have the Nada Anusandhana, where you do that. So we are using the sound to calm the nerves. So all these sound-based pranayama will come in resounding pranayama. So what did I say? Vitalizing, balancing, cooling, and resounding. These are the main 4 categories pranayama. So ideally you should do, when you in your daily practice, you should practice in a cold season. Don't do the cooling pranayama. In summers you can do cooling pranayama also. So at least you should do the opening pranayama, which is vitalizer. Then you have the superior one, that is the balancing, and the resounding. We do in our class all the 3 things. One of them will be picked up in every class. This month we are doing Kapalabhati. Then we do Ujjayi pranayama, and we do Omkara in the end, which is nothing other than Nada Anusandhan pranayama. So that is the category which I spoke about. Now explain nuances due to many variants. So yeah. So see, there are lot of permutation combinations in this balancing. Most important of all these is the balancing pranayama, which has got lot of varieties. Okay, so I can tell only the main principles in that. I can talk about the principles, or if you have any question specific, then I can probably touch upon that. So I think who was that? Sudhanshu. Do you have any specific questions on this? Then I can touch upon that. So otherwise I'll talk in general about that.
Sir, alom vilom mein kuch to variation rehta hai. There is some variation in the alom vilom. Sometimes we, let's say, left se saans liya, left se we breathe in and left se breathe out. And sometimes we left se breathe in, right se breathe out. We keep doing alternate. What is the difference?
Yeah. See, first category is Surya Bhedana. See, Surya, it's not a balancing pranayama. Surya Bhedana is a heating. It comes in the vitalizing category. In Surya Bhedana, we inhale from the right and then exhale from the left only. मतलब हमेशा right से लेगा सांस और left से छोड़ेगा. इसमें शरीर थोड़ा heat up होता है. Because you breathe in from the right side, the sun side, and the left is the moon side, Pingla Nadi. Ida Nadi, Pingla Nadi. So if you inhale from the right, it heats up, and exhale from the left. That is called Surya Bhedana. Then if you do Ulta, if you inhale from the left, which is the moon side, and then that is Ida, and exhale from the right, that is Chandra Bhedana. So these are they don't come into the balancing. So it's a specific, not many people practice that. Most widely practiced pranayama is Nadi Shuddhi pranayama. So in वो नाड़ी शुद्धि के लिए लोग क्या बोलते हैं, अनुलोम विलोम ऐसा करके नाम दिया है, लेकिन करेक्ट नाम उसका जो है, इट इज नाड़ी शुद्धि प्राणायामा. नाड़ी शुद्धि प्राणायामा is the most widely and most superior of all these pranayamas. So in Nadi Shuddhi, you have to start from the right side. So I start from the right side, then I inhale from the right. Now if you're not going to hold your breath, just exhale from the left. Now inhale from the right. And exhale from the, inhale from the left and exhale from the right. तो मैंने क्या किया, पहले राइट से चालू किया, लेफ्ट से छोड़ा, फिर लेफ्ट से चालू किया, राइट से छोड़ा, दोनों साइड इक्वल हो गया. So you have equalized both the sides. You do any number of rounds, there is not going to be an imbalance in the system. Okay, so Nadi Shuddhi is done from both the sides. It's one of the balancing pranayama. Now, this is the base which I said. And some people, they don't use fingers also. You can do like this also. You know, first level, like they don't use a finger. That's for beginner level, because there is no control of the breath. It is just like inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling. Let's say senior citizen or beginners do only that much. When you graduate to the next level, now let me show you one inhalation. Just tell me how many seconds I'm inhaling. Okay, I'm just showing you an inhalation from the right nose. Just count in your mind. I'll show you when my inhale is over. So how much was that time? I think maybe, yeah?
35 seconds, I think.
So almost 30 to 35 seconds. So how did I do that? So I was using my thumb to control, right? So I'm filling up the air very slowly. Around 30-35 seconds I inhale. In our class, how much we do? 8 seconds. So it all depends on how you see. In my practice, what do? I'll tell you. Some days I do 12, 12, 12, 12. 12 second inhalation. I hold for 12 seconds inside the lungs. I exhale for 12 seconds and then hold for 12 seconds. And then come back in the same. So 48 seconds for one side, 48 seconds to return. No, this is, see, so there is lot of exploration you can do in pranayama. So if you read the book on Light on Pranayama by B.K. Iyengar, lot of variations he said. So this is all Samavritti. Now Visama Vritti will do. Visama Vritti he will do like inhalation will be for X. Holding will be for 4x. Exhalation will be 2x. And Bahya Kumbhak will be x. So 1, 4, 2, 1. So that is Visama Vritti. So that variations you can bring in Anulom Vilom Pranayam. Nadi Shuddhi Pranayam. You can do that in Anulom Pranayam also. What is Anulom Pranayam? Anuloma is all the inhalations are in Ujjayi, all the exhalations are with finger control. So we have done, again somebody is chatting there.
Sir, you said always start from the right side. But whenever I have done Anlom Vilom,
Sir, I am not chatting.
Yeah, okay.
So I've always learned that, you close your right nostril with your thumb and then you start from the left side. That's how so it is wrong?
See, all pranayamas will start from right. The inhalation will start from the right nostril. As per, pranayama, the authority in the world is BK, as per my knowledge, okay. So is Iyengar, BK Iyengar. He has mastered this art of pranayama. If you take his book, so it is auspicious to start from the right. He has written in his books that start from the right nostril. I'm not saying starting from the left is wrong. I don't find any major this thing. But as per the books, pranayama will start from the right, and asanas will start from the left. I'll tell you the reason why it starts from the left in asana. For example, when you do the Vrikshasana, when I say bend the left leg, so I start from the left, okay? Bend the left leg and keep it on the right thigh. And then I do Vrikshasana. So which leg am I balancing on? Anybody? Which I'm balancing on my right leg.
Right leg.
Yeah. So actually, the action is happening on my right side, even though I folded the left leg. Similarly, when I start from the left side, when I do Trikonasana, Ekam, inhale, move the right foot. Do exhale, turn. Trini, inhale, open. Chatwari, exhale, bend. So where is the Trikonasana happening? It's on the right side. So even if the action starts on a left limb, okay, the asana lands on the right side. Okay, in pranayama is not like that. Pranayama, when I start from the right side, it starts from the right side only. Say when I do Ardha Matsyendrasana, Ekam inhale, fold my left leg. I'm telling left leg fold. Dvi exhale, stand my right foot. Trini inhale, left hand up. Chatwari exhale, twist. Where is the twist happening? Right side. Twist is on the right side. So the asana is actually happening on the right side. Even though I folded my left leg, the asana is happening on the right. There are other way also. So, but majority of the asanas, even if you start an action on the left, the asana will land on the right. In pranayama, all the starting point is on the right, as per my knowledge and as per the books. Okay, so but I don't think that even if you start on the left, nothing wrong. You're not going to make any big mistake on that. So if you find it convenient, nothing wrong. You can continue, no issues.
Sir, it's 5:46.
Ah, no problem. Okay, so so maybe next class I'll spend a little more time. So and on pranayama, because today a lot of questions came up on asana practices. Okay, so other than that, see those ratios, the timing, all that is important. How much you hold internally, how much you hold externally, internal retention, external. Don't hold your breath too much internally. It can increase your, the pressure in the system. It can vary the blood pressure. And if you're, slight difference here and there, okay. And if you hold your breath too much outside, it can also reduce the BP. All those effects can come. So try to equalize your inhalations and exhalations, and your internal retention can be little longer than the external retention. That's so various combinations can come. So with time passing by, every day when we practice, we will be able to explore those different aspects of pranayama. Okay. So now I think we'll close. So I take the closing prayer. Inhale, take the arms over the head. Take it long. You can see the elbows will not bend here. Many people, the elbow will bend because their back is not straight. So try to lengthen the arm and straighten the back. This is one purpose of taking the arm up. Your back will become straight automatically. On the exhale, bring to center of the heart. Keeping the back straight, inhale. Together. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarotam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. Good inhalation. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently bow down. Thank God from the heart. You should thank God for whatever you could do. And then come back. Thank you. Namaste. Please come all these training classes. I appreciate your participation, because when you ask questions, my knowledge improves. When I speak, your knowledge improves. It's an interaction. I learn many things from all of you. It's not that I'm not learning. I've learned many things from all of you. So it is always good to interact like this. Even if it is, you can spend just say 10 minutes or 15 minutes during this 1 hour 45 minutes. That's also fine. I respect that. So maybe when you maybe after you're relaxed, you can come join for half an hour, then disconnect. No issues. Whatever possible, contribute yourself. Your questions will help others' knowledge. So in improving mine, including mine. Okay. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye.